What I have learned based on the recording and reading of Statistical Assessment Service Research Director Rebecca Golden were major points of deceptive statistics on ads and news recordings from the media. Political actions are based on science, and with that science there are consequences. An important quote from Golden: "Inaccurate representations of science shape public policy, legislation, and affects people's choices. The reason for most misleading data is based on the journalist's deadline. However, it shouldn't be an excuse from justifying their own inaccuracy in print or online." Statistical Assessment Services is a great research tool and encourages higher standards for journalists working on science and statistics. The article I chose from stats.org is the incredibly complex case of missing medical research. All clinical and U.S. manufactured drug trials must be recorded in clinicaltrials.gov. Studies went into account when comparing missing information from the world's largest registry to organizations. For example, 2007, Food and Drug Administration Amendments Act. It is mandatory to register and report clinical and drug trials. However, in 2012, there were 62% missing records out of 13,327 registered trials. The article was last updated in October 2016, whereas all industries that conduct clinical trials in the past years have shown poor respect to ethical commitment for transparency. There are two studies on this case, Anderson and Shamlian. Anderson reported missing data for recent years. Shamlian provides a scale of historical missing information, and together they provide strong evidence responding and reporting trial results, funded by pharmaceutical industry. The problem for missing medical research isn't inconvenient paperwork. It is the clinical researchers that have long been reminded and still don't report results. Ever since improvements have been made, trial data will be reported without significant patient root and academic pressure. Out of all the options on stats.org, I was interested in the incredibly complex case of missing medical research article based on the picture. The picture caught my eye because it's a microscope, and I thought it would be about the lab and science, because that's the type of career field I'm pursuing. Also, I was curious about the title where missing medical research would lead into. I was once a file clerk, and I thought this would be about file clerks messing things up by losing track of records. New information I've learned from this was the clinicaltrials.gov and how human ignorance in reporting results could affect the individual and the company's outlook. To be honest, there were many percentages and numbers that I could not interpret. Lastly, what I would use this information in college and life, I would use this by critically thinking decisions being made, and the use of this module helps me to clearly understand information being said on popular websites such as CNN, where President Trump calls them fake news. Now I kind of see why. Two examples I would give for this module was: parents should let kids eat dirt. It'll strengthen their immune system. And here's an ad from the late 1930s for engagement rings. That was the first ad that was pushing the public to afford one, because without one you're saying she ain't worth it, or the man himself is pathetic.